The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Have you ever heard of the invisible threads that maneuver our daily actions, pushing us towards decisions that we often fail to fully understand? Deep within each of us lie hidden forces, capable of shaping our behavior in ways that escape our full understanding. The Laws of Human Nature, a revolutionary work by Robert Greene, invites us to explore these unexplored depths of our being, revealing the darkest and brightest sides of the human soul. Imagine having a map that guides you through the labyrinth of the human psyche, illuminating the shadows of selfishness, irrationality, and short-sightedness that hold us captive. Greene provides us with just that, a tool to navigate the complexity of human nature, explaining how our most primitive tendencies, such as narcissism and aggression, can be transformed into levers of power and understanding. So what drives us to repeat the same mistakes? Why do we fall prey to the same illusions? The answer lies in our inability to recognize and accept those parts of ourselves that we would rather ignore. But it is precisely in the acceptance of this reality that the key to a more conscious and fulfilling existence lies. Before continuing with the viewing, we ask you to support us by subscribing to the channel and activating the bell. Stay with us until the end of the video and let us know what you think. Thank you. Have you ever wondered how you could live a better life? A life where you are the master of your impulses rather than their slave. Through this short video, you will discover how to develop farsightedness, the vital importance of surrounding yourself with a reality group that keeps you grounded, and why awareness of death can be the most powerful incentive to live fully. This journey to discover the laws that govern our being is not just an intellectual exploration. It's a call to action. It is a signal to stop, reflect, and ultimately act more consciously and effectively in our personal lives, relationships, and the challenges we face every day. Each of us is susceptible to engaging in irrational actions. Despite our perception of modern humans as intelligent and logical beings, the reality is that our decision-making is heavily influenced by our emotions. This often leads us to make irrational choices, ignoring rationality. For centuries, the conflict between our emotional and rational faculties persisted. Pericles, an esteemed statesman in Athens in the 5th century BC, is an early advocate of rational conduct. Faced with the Spartan threat, Pericles successfully convinced Athens' leaders to exercise restraint and avoid descending into full-scale war. Unfortunately, his wise advice was ignored when the city was ravaged by the plague and Pericles met his demise. Emotions took over, leading to a long and costly conflict that ultimately led to Athens' devastating fall. Pericles' wisdom was rooted in his ability to exercise patience, a virtue that remains crucial in preventing impulsive choices. Whenever faced with a dilemma or significant issue, Pericles would retreat to his residence, engaging in thoughtful contemplation. He would carefully weigh potential outcomes, ensuring that his decisions prioritized collective well-being rather than the exclusive benefit of the rich and influential. To avoid making impulsive decisions driven by emotions, it is advisable to extend the response time whenever possible. Additionally, it is important to carefully consider potential biases that could impact your decision-making process. Confirmation bias and belief bias are two cognitive biases that influence our thinking. Confirmation bias leads us to seek information that aligns with our existing beliefs, while belief bias leads us to perceive emotionally charged ideas as more valid. Another bias to consider is that towards appearance, which leads us to assume that individuals who possess attractive appearance or wealth must also possess good moral character. Furthermore, there is the presence of group biases, which influence us to adopt the beliefs and opinions of the social groups with which we identify. For example, if you align yourself with a right or left-wing political party, you may find yourself unquestionably agreeing with all of the party's perspectives, without considering alternative viewpoints. To ensure sound decision-making, it is critical to approach diverse perspectives with skepticism, analytical thinking, and curiosity, recognizing that our biases can often cloud judgment. It is also important to find a balance between rationality and emotions, While it's not necessary to suppress emotions entirely, maintaining a sense of calm can improve the quality of our decisions. To some extent, we all possess narcissistic tendencies, and it is crucial to evaluate one's character based on actions rather than outward appearances. In addition to our penchant for irrationality, human nature also encompasses a fundamental requirement of attentiveness and self-centeredness. Indeed, a certain degree of narcissism is inherent in our very being. As a result, each individual resides somewhere on a continuum ranging from modest levels of self-centeredness to extreme narcissism. Individuals who exhibit profound narcissistic tendencies typically possess an altered sense of self, perceiving others as mere extensions of their own being. This psychological trait can often be traced back to early childhood, particularly the critical period between the ages of 2 and 5, during which individuals transition from perceiving themselves as an extension of their mother to developing a distinct sense of personal identity. There are two main causes for the emergence of deep narcissism: excessive parental involvement, which hinders the formation of a distinct individual identity, or parental neglect, which instills a sense of abandonment. As a result, individuals with profound narcissistic tendencies experience decreased self-esteem and increased feelings of insecurity. In an attempt to compensate for their fractured sense of self, these individuals display behavioral patterns characterized by envy, a constant need for attention, an overwhelming desire for control, a tendency to internalize everything personally, and an inability to handle criticism. It is ironic that narcissism is commonly linked to self-love when, in reality, individuals with deep narcissistic tendencies often lack a sufficient sense of self to truly love. Interestingly, one of the most effective methods for cultivating a healthier level of narcissism involves developing a sense of self that can be truly appreciated. This process not only decreases insecurity, but also increases self-esteem. Lack of empathy is a characteristic commonly found in individuals with deep narcissism, and it is essential to possess this quality to face life successfully. Empathy allows us to understand and connect with the experiences of others, fostering meaningful relationships. Furthermore, it serves as a powerful tool to discern the true nature of individuals and develop our character to a higher level through intuitive perception. As part of evaluating one's character, it is critical to recognize that each individual adorns a facade in their daily interactions. We constantly strive to impress others by projecting an idealized version of ourselves and speaking words that we believe will gain approval. As rightly expressed by Shakespeare, the whole existence can be compared to a great theatrical production. It is important to recognize that what we perceive and feel may not accurately reflect someone's authentic character. Genuine character is often revealed through an individual's response to challenges, collaboration with others, and the ability to gain knowledge and adapt accordingly. Our goal should be to cultivate superior character and harness the power of self-interest to our advantage. Our individual characters are a mixture of strengths and weaknesses, with some traits inherited while others are shaped by our upbringing. Furthermore, there are qualities that we develop as we age. For example, studies have indicated that some children display a higher level of hostility, implying that aggression may have a genetic component. Our inherent qualities should not limit us. We have the power to manage and exploit even our least formidable characteristics to our advantage. Regardless of the circumstances we face, we can always aspire to possess exemplary character. To embark on this journey, we must first recognize the truth and accept that our traits are inherent to human nature, devoid of any shame. We begin by engaging in sincere self-examination, reflecting on our previous mistakes, vulnerabilities, and abilities. If we consider the case of a hyper-perfectionist, someone who has an overwhelming desire to have complete control and struggles to entrust tasks to others, it would be unwise for him to ignore this aspect of his personality and put himself in situations where he will overwhelm or compete for be careful with others. Instead, it would be more beneficial for them to look for a profession that allows them to take on a workload that does not require delegation. Envy, An often overlooked aspect of human nature is an undeniable reality. It is a universal inclination to desire what is unattainable for us. As they say, the allure of greener pastures beyond our reach and the perpetual promise of a higher destination on the horizon persist. Our innate inclination towards envy can be attributed to certain biological factors. First, our natural wiring does not incline us to complacency. Rather, we have a competitive nature that drives us to strongly desire things, regardless of whether we encounter them in reality or in the realm of our imagination. Denying our feelings of jealousy often stems from an unwillingness to acknowledge our sense of inadequacy compared to others. However, there is no point in rejecting or hiding our jealousy. Only by recognizing that these emotions are universal can we use them effectively to our advantage. By recognizing that our desires are often aimed at what is difficult to obtain, we can increase our appeal to others by exploiting the qualities of elusiveness. Simply put, we can cultivate an air of mystery and indefinability. The more we encourage people to use their imagination, the deeper their fascination with us will grow. It is a common human tendency to have a narrow perspective and react defensively. It is disconcerting to observe the disproportionate allocation of resources and attention paid to fighting terrorism, while the issue of global warming, which has a profound impact on every living being on Earth, is dismissed as insignificant. The connection between reason and human nature is undeniable. Our tendency to prioritize immediate stimuli is deeply rooted in our evolutionary past, when survival depended on satisfying immediate needs such as sustenance and safety from dangerous predators, such as the saber-toothed tiger. This inherent myopia makes us more likely to react to what is directly in front of us, in the present moment. To achieve your optimal self, it's important to recognize the inclination to prioritize short-term concerns over a larger vision. However, adopting a future-oriented mindset is much more beneficial. When faced with a decision, it's important to maintain a sense of perspective and approach the situation with a calm, rational mindset. Take a moment to evaluate the problem at hand. Carefully consider the available choices and contemplate the potential outcomes. Furthermore, it is crucial to recognize that current challenges are often the result of past actions, which allows for a more thorough assessment of the situation. It is important to understand that there are cases where taking no action is the most beneficial course of action. While Western culture may view inaction as a display of weakness, Japanese and Chinese cultures recognize the strategic intelligence in observing and allowing the enemy to exhaust themselves before making a move. Having the ability to effectively manage people's innate defensiveness is an additional strategy to consider. Given that autonomy and free will are highly valued by all individuals, it is not surprising that everyone tends to get defensive to some extent. To effectively explore human nature, an effective strategy is to lead someone to embrace your plan by making them believe it was their idea. This can be achieved by expressing gratitude towards the other person, recognizing their unique qualities and intellect, and taking advantage of their inherent stubbornness. Consider the early journey of Lyndon B. Johnson, a leading figure in American politics who would later rise to the presidency. After assuming the role of senator, Johnson was already renowned for his fiery temper as a Texan. However, he recognized that employing the same confrontational strategies he had used during his time as a congressman would not lead to success. Contrary to expectations, he quickly formed a close bond with the experienced Georgia Democratic Senator Richard Russell, openly expressing his admiration for Russell's wealth of knowledge and expertise. In return, Russell was amazed by Johnson's exceptional organizational skills and facilitated his appointment to the esteemed Armed Services Committee in an unprecedented span of just 18 months after he entered the Senate. At age 44, Johnson's shrewd but amiable strategies propelled him to become the youngest Senate leader in the history of the Democratic Party. To avoid self-sabotage, it's crucial to cultivate a positive mindset and refrain from repressing your emotions. Have you ever felt like you were cursed or doomed to failure? If this resonates with you, it's probably the result of some unproductive characteristics that you need to recognize and manage. By introspectively examining the root causes of recurring negative outcomes, you can proactively make changes to prevent future misfortunes. It may be hard to believe, but a pessimistic mindset is actually one of the main drivers of self-sabotage. The good news is that you have the power to transform it. Let's look at the life of the famous playwright Anton Chekhov, if you think your negative view is justified. During his childhood, Chekhov endured physical abuse from his father and was forced to give up his education to work in his father's workshop. Furthermore, due to his father's poor business decisions, Chekhov's family was forced to flee to Moscow, leaving him behind at the age of 16 to face life independently while he completed his studies. His survival was only made possible by his ability to secure sporadic employment as a tutor. Chekhov could easily have adopted a pessimistic view considering his circumstances. However, Chekhov possessed an exceptional capacity for empathy, which allowed him to feel compassion towards his father instead of harboring anger. After the family's departure, he offered his father a new perspective, acknowledging the difficult upbringing that had shaped him and recognizing him as a vulnerable and directionless older individual. After feeling a sense of absolution towards his father, Chekhov found liberation in the liberation of his mind. The chains of anger were finally loosened, underlining the importance of letting go of negative emotions. Holding on to or suppressing feelings of anger or inadequacy can lead to self-imposed isolation, pushing people to seek comfort in substances like drugs and alcohol to numb the pain and stifle authentic emotions. Once you recognize the existence of negative emotions or self-centered desires in your personality, you can take the first step to using them constructively. The concept of shadow self is introduced by the author, referring to the repressed negative emotions within an individual. The more these emotions are repressed, the greater the potential for destruction when they eventually emerge. A prime example of this is Richard Nixon, the former president of the United States, who harbored deep feelings of resentment and abandonment. These repressed emotions eventually manifested themselves into destructive behavior that ultimately led to the downfall of his presidency. Every individual has a tendency to experience feelings of grandeur, but it is important to ground yourself in reality. The law of grandiosity refers to the phenomenon in which individuals who have achieved even a modicum of success begin to display a sense of superiority and detachment from reality. It's fascinating to see how success can have such a profound impact on your perception of yourself. Consider the trajectory of Michael Eisner's professional journey. Going from a prosperous television executive, Eisner assumed the leadership role at the esteemed Paramount Film Studio in 1976. Under his leadership, Paramount experienced a remarkable series of triumphs, eventually claiming the title of Hollywood's largest motion picture studio for a significant period. Taking over as CEO of Disney in 1984, Eisner orchestrated the launch of 15 extraordinary films that breathed new life into the struggling brand. Recognizing the potential of the burgeoning home video market, Eisner astutely conceived the idea of strategically exploiting the company's extensive catalog. Eisner possessed a Midas touch, and success seemed to follow him wherever he went. However, when he shifted his focus to theme parks and the development of Euro Disney in France, his streak stopped. Attendance numbers fell dramatically short of expectations, but Eisner wasted no time in shifting the blame to others. In a shocking move that shook the entire industry, he fired Jeffrey Katzenberg, his subordinate who had played a major role in the success of several recent blockbusters, including The Lion King. Unfortunately, this effort proved to be a costly failure. At the same time, Katzenberg took legal action against Disney and received $280 million in unpaid bonuses. Furthermore, Steve Jobs, CEO of Pixar, expressed his reluctance to collaborate with Disney in the future due to Eisner's interference. Ultimately, due to Disney's declining stock prices, board members ousted Eisner from his position in September 2005. Eisner's experience as a television and film executive allowed him to grasp the preferences of American audiences, but his initiatives with Euro Disney and Go revealed a lack of understanding regarding European tastes and the needs of an internet service. However, Eisner's grip on reality had slipped. Instead of recognizing the limitations of his own experience, he allowed himself to be consumed by feelings of insecurity and perceived threats from his subordinates, such as Katzenberg. This ultimately played a significant role in his downfall. It would be logical to assume that anyone with a solid grasp of reality would have predicted Katzenberg's emergence as a formidable competitor following his departure from Disney, given his undeniable talent. This hypothesis proved true when Katzenberg played an integral role in the founding of DreamWorks. It can be easy to overlook the role of mentors, teammates, timing, and luck when achieving success. However, it is critical to recognize these contributing factors and recognize your strengths, limitations, and weaknesses. It is important to maintain a realistic perspective. As individuals, it is important for us to actively combat the tendency of gender repression and lack of purpose in order to promote a more inclusive and purposeful society. Born in Milan, Italy, in 1463, Caterina Sforza came from a formidable dynasty that granted her the freedom to pursue her various interests. From her youth, Caterina possessed an inclination towards physical combat education, as well as a deep interest in fashion and the arts. As a result, she pursued both disciplines, allowing herself the freedom to explore and embrace both her feminine and masculine aspects. The result was his establishment as a formidable and captivating figure, admired by both men and women living in Milan. This ability to captivate a wide audience is also exemplified by artists such as David Bowie, who, by embracing and expressing both their masculine and feminine qualities, achieve universal appeal. Both our genetic makeup and our upbringing contribute to the development of our masculinity and femininity. However, social norms often lead men to suppress their feminine traits, while women are encouraged to hide their masculine qualities. It remains useful to embrace the duality within us. In this way, we can improve our relationships by promoting empathy towards individuals of the opposite gender. Plus, embracing both sides can improve our problem-solving skills, spark creativity, and boost our confidence. There is a divergence in the thought processes of men and women, as men tend to focus on the minutiae of dissecting and classifying objects, while women take a broader perspective to identify patterns and make connections. The most exceptional intellects possess the ability to effortlessly tap into both modes of thought. Another way to experience a big boost in life is to move closer to a higher sense of purpose. Because we are all complex people, we can easily slip into a sense of purposelessness and feel a general lack of cohesion. But if we look inside ourselves calmly, we can discover what really excites us. We can often trace our highest purpose to a moment in childhood. For Steve Jobs, as a kid, it was seeing his first electronics store. For Marie Curie, she was immediately fascinated by seeing chemical instruments for the first time. For legendary director Akira Kurosawa, this all happened later in life when he worked as an assistant for another director, Kojiro Yamamoto. Until then, he had not recognized the full potential of cinema. But standing behind Yamamoto, he experienced a transcendent moment where everything suddenly became clear and made sense. These are the moments we should look for, as they are the ones that indicate a higher purpose in life. As individuals, we often succumb to group influence and develop an unwarranted sense of entitlement. Although we often pride ourselves on our individuality, sophistication, and civilized nature, a closer examination of human behavior reveals that a significant portion of our time is consumed by concerns about outside opinions and our ability to conform to specific social circles. Although we have made significant progress in distancing ourselves from our tribal origins, there is still a tendency to regress towards primitive and impulsive thought patterns. When we find ourselves in a collective environment, it may not be the most pleasant realization, but it is crucial for us to recognize and accept this inherent inclination. The Chinese Cultural Revolution, led by Chairman Mao Zedong, serves as a prime example of the harmful consequences of group mentality. Originally intended as a revolt against oppressive hierarchies established by elites, the revolution has transformed into a state of mindless conformity. In the grip of this collective mentality, individuals were targeted and attacked in the streets simply for wearing clothing that resembled Western fashion, associated with the elite class. As a result, a police state emerged in an attempt to rein in the resulting chaos, leading the revolution to achieve the exact opposite of its intended goals. To avoid these events, it is essential that each individual becomes a member of what the author calls the reality group. This collective can be likened to the emblem of effective collaboration, where the entire team remains dedicated to the initial goal, while ensuring that power struggles and unnecessary conflicts are avoided. This framework places emphasis on the positive elements of working together and highlights the incredible results that can be achieved through collaboration. The law is yet another unpleasant aspect of human behavior. While we may occasionally feel a sense of entitlement, no other institution embodies this deplorable characteristic like a king. Throughout history, individuals have been required to show reverence and worship solely based on their family lineage. While many members of the royal family simply expect respect and power, there is one monarch who can impart valuable lessons on how to actually earn it. In the annals of history, Queen Elizabeth I is notable for being among the few to seek to win the admiration and loyalty of her subjects. Demonstrating his altruism, he withdrew his own income and allocated those funds to help the English population. Furthermore, he showed an unwavering dedication to making the choices he believed were beneficial to his people. The realization that Elizabeth came to is that when previous rulers possess a sense of entitlement, it ultimately breeds resentment. It is therefore up to all of us to demonstrate that we are worthy of admiration through diligent work, acknowledging our mistakes, and willingly making sacrifices when it serves our advantage. Before we dive into the last part of this video, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel. If this video has inspired you or given you food for thought, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and activate the bell so you don't miss any future updates. Thank you. While it is true that humans possess a natural inclination towards aggression, harnessing and directing this aggression in a controlled manner can lead to positive outcomes. During the mid-19th century, Maurice Clark, a businessman, met a seemingly normal young boy who came from a tumultuous upbringing. This guy was none other than John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller's father, known for his fraudulent activities, often disappeared without warning, leaving his family in dire financial straits, barely surviving starvation. Unbeknownst to Clark, Rockefeller's early years had instilled in him a fixation on accumulating wealth and exercising authority over a structured and predictable world, elements that had been absent in his upbringing. All Clark sensed was a deeply devoted boy who had an uncanny ability to penetrate him. Rockefeller and Clark had entered into a business partnership, but Rockefeller's forceful tactics in pushing for business expansion caused Clark to crack under the pressure. As a result, Clark decided to sell his shares of the company via auction, unknowingly playing right into Rockefeller's strategy. Seizing the opportunity, Rockefeller acquired those shares and used them as a catalyst to transform the modest business into the formidable Standard Oil Company, cementing its status as one of the most influential corporations in history. Rockefeller possessed cunning in his business dealings, demonstrating both assertiveness and cunning. He had a keen ability to discern people's hidden motivations and determine the trade-offs they would be willing to make to achieve desired outcomes. The aggression inherent in each of us has played a crucial role in our rise to dominance as a species. It is important not to suppress this aspect of our personality, as this could result in the manifestation of passive aggression. Repressed anger can also manifest as an internal voice directing aggression towards oneself. Instead, it is advisable to embrace a healthy level of aggression and channel it productively. Identifying the source of the aggression is the initial stage. It can arise from various factors such as personal insecurities, overbearing parental figures, past experiences of childhood trauma, or the need to exercise authority over one's surroundings. This new knowledge gives us the power to defeat attackers, and few experiences in life are as rewarding as outwitting a tormentor. Acceptance of death can be a beneficial outcome for all of us, as we are all shaped by values passed down from generation to generation. As early as the 14th century, the famous Egyptian historian Ibn Khaldun proposed a theory suggesting that generations progress through a cycle consisting of 4 distinct types. The initial phase is characterized by an innovative series that triggers significant transformations, followed by a period of structure and balance. The next generation favors practicality and convenience, while the 4th generation is defined by curiosity and skepticism. While the patterns in this framework are not immutable, we can observe how each subsequent generation is shaped by and reacts to the previous one. During the first half of the 20th century, the silent generation emerged in the United States. This generation experienced the profound impact of the Great Depression and actively participated in World War II. In general, they have embraced conservative values and beliefs. Following them were the baby boomers, who rebelled against the traditional mindset of their conservative parents and thrived during the countercultural movement of the 1960s and 1970s. Generation X succeeded the baby boomers and expressed dissatisfaction with what they perceived as their parents' hypocrisy. They advocated pragmatism and self-sufficiency. Millennials later emerged, promoting the value of teamwork over individualism and generally rejecting conflict and confrontation. Nowadays, it is crucial to grasp the impact of generational values on decision-making. With the world becoming increasingly interconnected, it is highly likely that global trends will shape future generations. Therefore, by understanding the current historical context, we can effectively anticipate and understand the spirit of tomorrow. The impact of our mortality has consistently been a significant factor in shaping our choices. It is understandable that individuals may be reluctant to contemplate death. However, it is precisely because of its profound influence on us that we should consider it carefully. Denying the inevitable nature of death is a futile effort, and instead, accepting its presence can act as a powerful catalyst for living a dynamic and purposeful life. Furthermore, death serves as a profound catalyst for compassion, as it is the ultimate force that unites humanity on equal footing. After learning of her diagnosis of lupus, a terminal disease, Flannery O'Connor, a 20th-century American writer, did not give in to despair. Instead, she experienced a profound transformation, becoming more compassionate, receptive to new ideas, and invigorated by the wonders of existence. Fyodor Dostoevsky, a Russian author, underwent a similar metamorphosis after his brush with death, feeling as if he had been given a second chance at life and rediscovering a profound sense of wonder. So stop living life on autopilot with an inward and distracted gaze. Recognize how amazing it is that we have existed on this planet since the beginning and commit to doing something beautiful to honor this amazing gift. In our daily lives, we are subject to a multitude of laws rooted in human nature that exert significant influence. These laws include irrationality, narcissism, envy, short-sightedness, aggression, and the instinct to deny the inevitability of death. Embracing these aspects of the human condition can prove challenging, but acknowledging their existence is the first step towards personal growth. Armed with a deeper understanding of human nature, you can discern when your emotions are driving you towards irrational choices and when external forces are manipulating your beliefs. Furthermore, understanding human nature allows for the recognition of shared experiences between all individuals, fostering high levels of empathy. Stop for a moment and contemplate the extraordinary sequence of events that occurred to bring life to Earth. Against seemingly insurmountable odds, a perfect set of circumstances aligned, causing a ripple effect that has spanned billions of years and ultimately led you, at this very moment, to read these words. To fully understand the extraordinary series of events that culminated in your conscious existence, as well as the majestic landscapes, vast oceans, lush flora, and diverse fauna, is to grasp the concept of the sublime. Your life is a wonder beyond measure, and it is essential to never lose sight of its deeper meaning. Well, we have reached the end. Thank you for your support and for your attention. See you next time.